Welcome to the Morning Nerdy News. I'm your host, Gray Falcon, and today we have several interesting tech updates, everything from Project XCloud going live, Sony's new event coming up today, and a whole bunch of hardware news for Nvidia, AMD, and Intel. To start off, though, we're going to get into some Fall Guys news. The other day on Twitter, Fall Guys announced that there was a cheater island. So anybody who was using cheats, hacks, or other things in order to take advantage and get wins in the game, they used to send them to what they called Cheater Island. They figured if you're going to cheat, you might as well still have some fun but compete against the other cheaters, and maybe you'll learn to stop cheating. Well, it turned out that didn't really work. At first, their restrictions were pretty tight on what they actually allowed and considered a cheater, and they loosened those over time, and it just got to the point where they said, okay, fine, we're tired of this. They obviously aren't learning their lesson by simply sending them to Cheater Island, so we're just going to ban their accounts. So if the next time you log in and you attempt to play Fall Guys and your account says no access, it's probably because you were booted to Cheater Island at some point and you didn't fix your cheating ways. There's a long report and discussion of this over on Game Informer. Heading over into more PlayStation news, today you can watch live the PlayStation 5 showcase. So this was posted up a couple of days ago, but I just wanted to remind everyone, PlayStation 5 showcase, we expect to see the price announcement, the release date, and hopefully pre-orders will go live today. So get your trigger finger ready, because it's entirely possible that we see a reduced amount of PlayStations actually coming out. According to Bloomberg, Sony cuts PlayStation 5 forecast by 4 million due to chip woes. So in this, they talk about how apparently their custom chip setup is causing problems on getting it produced and shipped out. They say that they're probably going to be about 4 million units short. Now, this is not coming from Sony. This Bloomberg report from sources that say they are in the know about what's going on with production. So we have no hard evidence of this. However, this is kind of concerning if you want to be a day one purchaser. This kind of puts the pressure on you to say, oh, well, if I want to get one, if I want one for this holiday, I might have to pre-order immediately rather than waiting for reviews on these two units. So we don't know. This could be a ploy. This could be one person who isn't happy about PlayStation's success on this, or they could be wanting to push Xbox further and give them a little bit of boost with their new information coming out. We've seen things like this happen before, where later on it came out that the person putting the information out there was really just in preference of another side, or they wanted to try and even the playing field for some reason because they thought the playing field was uneven, so they put out false information even though they had been known as somebody to have legitimate sources. So grain of salt with any of this. Moving over to Xbox, we have today as the launch of Project XCloud, or streaming gaming. They talk about it being available on Android mobile. So they say Samsung Store, the One Store, and the Google Play Store will be available to download these. Unfortunately, it doesn't say anything about PC. If you've tried that out, if you've got an Android device, make sure you put a comment in below. Let me know how you're enjoying that, because I'd really like to see how that's functioning on Android. Unfortunately, I only have one Android device, and it's pretty old. I don't know that it'll be able to run it, but I am going to try and see if I can get it up on that old tablet. And Microsoft, in other news, has an underwater server experiment that they recently pulled up from the sea, and IGN is reporting on this, on how the server actually does better while underwater. Now, this has multiple factors that go into this. One is that they are completely able to control the temperature and the oxygen levels and all this different little things that can cause problems as well as it prevents human error from going in and playing with things when they think there's something wrong. And it can allow a tech support to happen on the software side. Unfortunately, that does increase costs, but they say that for actually retrieving something to replace it, but the information says that damage is reduced down to an eighth. With significantly less replacement parts having to go into it, that could offset the actual cost of having to drop these things into a ocean, a lake, or some other body of water in order to try and contain and control these environments. And in other hardware news, over to Radeon from AMD. You could take a first look at their new graphics card for the 6000 series on Fortnite. Now, this is just a rendered item. It's a special play island where you go out, you can run around it, take a look. And it got the word out there. It got people to recognize that this is coming. However, there's no official announcement, no performance specs, no information on actually what's going on here. It's really just to get the word out there. Speaking of getting the word out there, Intel Tiger Lake high-performance 10nm CPUs with 8 cores and 16 threads will launch next year, according to Wccftech. This will compete with AMD's Senhine H lineup. So they're a little late to the game, and AMD's new stuff is going to be out this year rather than next, so that puts them behind the ball on this. But they do claim significant performance boosts, so we'll just have to see what the benchmarks actually show when everything happens. But much like Nvidia is getting their stuff out ahead of AMD on the graphics card side, AMD is going to have their chips out ahead of Intel on the CPU side, and it's just going to cause a little bit of frustration, I would expect, for them in regards to actually gaining market share, because they will have that upfront boost. Going over into some Nvidia news, we have pricing starting to pop up on websites. So I have Best Buy here, and Newegg and other places are also showing pricing, but you can start to see the listings here. $6.99 for the Founders card, so no overpricing there in the US on these. However, you can see that the third-party cards are regularly adding on an extra $50. But we do get the new reviews out today, so pay attention to that. Since we have new reviews coming out, we'll be able to see if any of these cards actually outperform the Founders Edition. And if they don't, you can save yourself $50. And if they do, you can invest that $50 if you want to in getting a little bit of extra performance out of your card. We'll find out about cooling and other information today, so keep an eye out from Linus Tech Tips, Gamers Nexus, JZ2 Cents, and the plethora of other online streamers and YouTubers who can show this off today. Another Nvidia news, Nvidia and the ARM purchase have prompted a conversation with CEO Jensen and talking about the reality in the foreseeable future for this. So this is over on Wccftech, and Jensen is giving some quotes and has a conversation here where he put out information talking about the possibility of custom data center chips, producing their own data center chips that are Nvidia branded, and licensing out the actual cores from ARM and having other companies make their own custom chips from that licensing on their own. And he talks about how all of that is possible, and we should expect to see these things to roll out in the future. When or how that will happen, we don't know, but this is primarily on data center side. There's no information in here really saying that we should expect consumer PC processors out of this, at least not at this time. We do know that Apple is going to transition all of their computers over to ARM processors, so we will have that. However, I don't expect your typical PC to run on this, because everything currently is x86 and ARM is a completely different architecture, which means, especially for gaming, that it would require completely new programming, different software setups to be able to run games on this in comparison, where the reason Apple is doing this is they want software to work the same across their PCs, onto their tablets, onto their phones, because their phones and tablets already take advantage of ARM's technology. And if they can have apps that work seamlessly into their Apple computers, then you will be able to bring information back and forth without any hitches. And finally, today we have some Apple updates from the Apple Files event live stream. That'll be happening today as well. This event was originally thought to be where the new iPhones would launch. Unfortunately, there are going to be delays and the iPhone won't be announced till October, and we can expect an October launch for that. So we're primarily expecting to see new iPads and maybe watches. We could even see a computer in here. However, I wouldn't bet my money on it. Computer updates normally have a separate event later on in the year for the launch going into next year. Remember to click the follow button if you haven't already. If you're over on YouTube, click subscribe, and over on Twitter, make sure you click the follow there as The Gray Falcon, and I will catch you later. Have a good one.